I'm Shane Nyland, and my co-host is Blake Musser. And these stories you're about to hear are from Weapons Company, 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, 1st Marine Division, about the events surrounding and directly from the mouths of the people who were in Ramadi, 2004. This is part 2 of our interview with Joe Latham from Mobile Assault Platoon 3. Yeah, man.
Did your platoon travel much outside of the AO? Did you guys do any runs out to any of the further ones?
Yeah, some of those air bases to TQ, right? Takedum Air Base. That was our favorite chow hall to go to. Yeah. I love that chow hall. And I remember, I think we did something with Lionesses one time. You remember? You guys have the Lionesses attached to you?
So I didn't have them much, but Blake's platoon definitely did.
Yeah, we had one time where we got in a firefight, and this lady was in the Marine Corps times also. It was funny. So we get in a firefight engagement, and then we were able to see where the enemy was at, and it was just this huge open field. So the trucks had the ability to bound. You know what I mean? So one was laying suppressive fire, another truck was maneuvering forward. Rapazo said, "Latham, go provide overwatch. Take them with you." I was like, "What?" All right, so we just go into somebody's random house. We go up to the very top, and I'm sitting there with these lionesses, and they're like, "Can we shoot?" I was like, "Yeah, go ahead, shoot." And so they just start engaging the enemy, having fun. You know what I mean? These women Marines, and they was like, "This is so cool." Did I hit one? I was like, "Yeah, you got him." It was most likely the machine gunner. I mean, it was Brown and Kelly, and those guys, snipers with the Mark 19, or the machine gun systems. But they were up there providing overwatch, and for me, I think during that time frame, shooting somebody with my rifle was just like boring to me. You know what I mean? I didn't get anything out of it at that time anymore.
You had already been engaged so much.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, go ahead, you shoot. I was like, they're going to get him anyways. I remember Sergeant Major Mack, was that his name?
First Sergeant Mack. Now, I mean, he retired Sergeant Major. Yeah.
First Sergeant Mack was there too. And he was bounding with the trucks. So he was like bounding behind the trucks.
I mean, he's a truck into it of himself.
Yeah, but he's a huge gentleman, right? And he was bounding. The trucks were bounding. And I'm just sitting there laughing because First Sergeant Mack is bounding with the trucks. These women Marines are sitting there engaging the enemy, giving each other high fives because they killed the enemy. I think it was just a good time. So I just like to sit there and just observe what was going on around. Yeah. Because shooting people, I mean, if I wasn't like in a direct line of fire, I mean, I wasn't getting anything out of it.
Right. Was that the engagement where you guys had the snipers that had belted themselves in the top of the palm trees?
No, that was a different one.
Yeah.
Oh, we had a lot of engagements during that deployment. And
dude, we towards like July, I think it was. Yeah. I took a visit, and I think Gunny Crutcher was there, and I know Lieutenant Stevens was there, and we asked for the data and the run sheets of who were the busiest platoons, and it was your platoon and my platoon were the busiest as far as the deployment goes, and it was like basically the same amount of number of engagements and number of task orders and all that, and it was an obscene number.
Yeah, it was like your platoon was either out or our platoon was either out. It was like back and forth, right? Yeah. And then you guys come back, you'd be talking about an engagement, the same thing. We'd meet in the middle of the hooch and be like, "Yeah, what happened?" Right?
Yeah. Yeah, and try to talk about, and I do remember that actually. It was a weird like Lance Corporal Underground level of intel. Like, this is where we got engaged, pointing to it on the map. They looked like this, they had this, and you're like, "Oh yeah, we saw some shit like that the other day." And it's like, okay, great.
Exactly. And I think I remember, I don't know if it was you because majority of the company was white, so all you guys kind of look alike to me.
We do all look alike, yeah.
But you were in the gun turret once when there was an explosion that happened. Is that correct?
Probably not. I rarely was in the turret, but it did happen a few times.
I swear it was you. You were
Could
in the
be.
turret and the explosion happened. And I looked at you and I was like deathly worried that you were dead. But you gave me a thumbs up. I was like, Nylan, you good? And you're like, but your eyes were like wide open.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it was you. Again, too many white people.
Yeah, that's right. We all look the same, especially when you put a helmet on us.
Exactly. Helmet, goggles, behind a gun, but I'm pretty sure, I'm about 99% sure it was you. You were in the gun that day. Did you get a Purple Heart?
Yes.
When?
My first one was March 18th from an IED when we were going out to the town that was right next to the Habanilla Dam. It was basically almost Habanilla, and I got hit by an IED in the middle of the night on the way there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I technically could have gotten a second and a third, but I refused both of those.
Okay. And I think that was one of them. I don't think you were in the turret that day. I don't remember.
I wasn't in the turret when I got the first one. I was vehicle commanding the first one I got. The second one was an RPG, and then the third one was from a landmine.
Landmine, you were in the vehicle?
Yes. Yeah. We were sitting in an Overwatch post and on the cemetery that was next to the trash dump up on that high uphill. And we had been there all day. I went and got out of the vehicle to take a piss and probably pissed on the landmine that we blew up. And I distinctly remember we were doing this Overwatch and we had watched literally nothing. Nothing exciting had happened, but we were of course writing everything down of nothing and calling in nothing. And there was the girls' school was across the way, and I remember they had just got out, and we were like, okay, it's our time to leave. We were leaving, and as we backed out, we maybe backed out 2 feet, and I was giving Homewood the finger out the side of the Humvee, and the next thing I remember, I hit the ceiling. My driver, Haradsky, was knocked out, and my gunner was knocked out, which was McCabe. And I don't remember if there's anybody in the backseat or not. I think it was just the three of us in the vehicle at that point. And I thought Haradsky was dead because he was knocked out, but his eyes were completely open. And my knee was dislocated. And as the dust settled, I force relocated my knee and kicked open the door because it was wedged shut from the blast and walked out, and I made them get out, and I said, just walk on my footprints, then anything won't explode, but I'm going to go first. And walked out and went to the other vehicle. And then the engineers came up and did an old school World War II, took the bayonet and stabbed in the dirt all over the place and used a metal detector, and they were like, yeah, there's nothing else up here. And I was like, I don't know that that's a fucking sweep, but okay, sure.
Right? Exactly. All right. Cool. Yeah. Well, maybe it wasn't you. It was somebody else.
It might have been. I got blown up a fuck ton of times. So, but as far as wounded, I only got wounded 3 times.
Yeah. No, I know I think you gave me the thumbs up.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm good. I was like, wow, geez. And then we just kept moving forward.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a lot of action during that time frame. Half of it, I haven't thought about it in years,
Right.
Did you end up getting a Purple Heart?
I did on the 6th that day. I thought it's because Brown shot me. Because of course we were bounding underneath Mark 19 fire.
Yep.
So I don't know who it was, but the left side of my arm and my hand, I got shrapnel from it that day. But I turned and started yelling at Brown in the vehicle, saying I was cussing him out because I really thought that Brown hit me with the Mark 19.
There's so much shit that happened. It probably wasn't Brown, but it definitely could have been. Did you end up with any deficits from that, or are you good as far as that goes?
No.
Everything works?
Everything's perfectly fine. Yeah.
That's good, man.
Oh.
That's good. Damn, I don't really know where to go from here, but what do you remember about coming back?
Coming back? I don't really remember the trip back. I do remember that when I drove home from base that day, I was driving with the lights off, and my wife at the time was scared to say anything to me because she's like, this guy is fucking crazy. I was 5, no lights on, because of course that's how we rolled at night, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
said, I watched you turn the lights off, like after we got in the car.
Sure,
You
sure.
know what I mean? Like the lights were
Yeah.
automatic, they came on. And she's like, you
Right.
turned the lights off. And she's like, you were driving perfectly fine. And I didn't want to say anything to you. I didn't want you to snap or anything like that. I was like, oh, yeah, I would have turned the lights on, man. I'm just used to doing it. So that's like one vivid memory I have right when we got back. And then after that, I remember going to the chow hall and everybody in the chow hall being injured, you know what I mean? Like in wheelchairs
Yeah.
or bandaged up. And I was like, wow, this is like crazy. It just like Fifth Marines, the whole dynamic of it, it felt like the Marine Corps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Walking around, and that's pretty much all I remember during that time frame. I was happy to go to Edson Range afterwards. So
Oh, that's right.
after that deployment, that was our second deployment. A lot of people got out from our peer group.
Mhm.
I stayed in. I re-enlisted, like I said, because of Condi. I was like, I got to stay in. And myself and Fernandez, we checked in at Edson Range, and we started working there after our 30-day leave block.
I was gonna say, I feel like everybody got that free 30 days, right? Everybody, even if you didn't have any leave on the books, they gave you 30 days. And so, did you report to Edson Range October, November?
I don't really remember. It was after that. I know I took some time off. I didn't do anything for a while.
Yeah.
And yeah, probably around November timeframe. I think we got back September, right?
We got back
Yes.
at the end of September, and then almost everybody took almost all of October off.
Yeah, yeah. So I would say November, December timeframe, I checked in at Edson Range. And then I just stayed in for a little bit, kept working.
Now you stayed infantry, which is
It's the only job there is in the Marine Corps, dog.
yeah. But a lot of guys didn't stay infantry. A lot of guys moved around and stuff like that. Did you have any more deployments after that?
Yeah, I went back to Barwana, and I went to Haditha, Haditha, and actually I got to go back to Ramadi in 2009, and it freaked me out. The Marine Corps was doing a PT run down Route Michigan. That's
Yeah.
how
What?
Ramadi was. I know,
Yeah.
right?
That's
Yeah.
wild.
I felt the same way. I was like, there is no way my body even it just felt so surreal. I couldn't even understand it, that they were doing a PT run down Michigan from like one base to the next base in the streets of Ramadi. I was like, you don't know what I seen on this street. It is crazy. Round Saddam's mosque and back. They were actually doing that. I forget what unit it was, but they was like, you want to go? I was like, yeah, I'll go to Ramadi again. And that's what I saw. Crazy, right? In 2010. So yeah, I did multiple deployments back to Iraq, one to Afghanistan, and then a couple more two MEUs.
Yeah.
What are as a compare and contrast, do you have any of like those other, I mean, we've had this Nyland and I, that is, have had the conversation, and as time goes on and we have more conversations with these interviews, that even inside of the experience of Ramadi 2004, like within the platoons, like my experience is so vastly different than your experience. And so I mean, it's hard to then compare wherever else you were, but do you have any like knee-jerk thoughts on Ramadi 04 versus later deployments? And did you see, I guess my bigger question is, did you see some of the stuff that we were doing mistakenly in the infancy that was then maybe more developed later on, other than the fact that you were running PT down Michigan? But
yes, everything was more developed later on. We had those Frankenstein highbacks, and then later on, I'm in that huge MRAP vehicle.
The MRAP, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Vehicle, which I feel like that thing, you can't penetrate that thing. You know what I'm saying? So there was a huge difference, and the Marine Corps pumped a bunch of money into training and equipment. And so I had everything at my disposal. And it was just amazing. And of course, obviously, I bumped up in ranks. So then I was able to call for air, call for fire. We had drones overhead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the Marine Corps made a huge transition from what we started at. So the weird thing was, I still had the same mindset of being a Lance Corporal in Ramadi. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I trained every platoon that I was in charge of like that. You know what I'm saying? And it was
Yeah.
like, oh, we got this crusty sergeant. We got this old staff sergeant that's going to combat. Oh, yeah. I worked them like we were going to Ramadi. Every platoon that I was with throughout.
Well, I bet you saved a lot of lives because of that, though.
Oh, I did, and they appreciate me for it. So I'm still in contact with them now, and yeah, they feel that I was a good leader. So I think the ones that I'm in contact with now, and all of them, like everybody that was in any of my platoons, I could reach out to right now and have a great conversation with. It really just makes my heart feel like fulfilled because I was able to carry on that legacy that Condi started for me with them. So yeah, just feels good to me. You
It's
know?
awesome. Good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, you talking about call for fire. Just you mentioning that we weren't even allowed to call for fire in the city. You couldn't call arty. The only arty there was counter battery, and it would only fire outside the city. We couldn't call for mortars. The only time air was on station was literally one time. The second time air tried to come on station, that helicopter pilot got killed by small arms fire, and they left.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. Yeah, I don't remember that. Yeah, later deployments, they have drones that will
Yep.
give you a 10-digit grid of the
Yep.
building and
Yep.
HIMARS.
Yep.
And so it's
Yep.
artillery that's going to hit that grid point. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Later on, like while I was in Afghanistan, you had to have a 10-digit grid. It had to be confirmed by a drone, and then they had to utilize HIMAR ammunition. And so that's like an artillery round that will
Sure.
hit that grid point.
Yeah, laser guided. It'll hit right where you put it. Yeah.
You mean a magazine just filled with tracer rounds isn't how you mark the targets later on in
So like later on, and like our technology advanced so much, and like I said, like my thrill of combat, I didn't get anything out of like bounding and shooting at an enemy anymore. So
Mhm.
I evolved it into how do I utilize HIMARS? How do I call for fire? How do I call for CAS or air? Right.
Yeah.
Learned all that stuff. And then after that, I was like, what else can I do? I mean, this is like the peak of infantry, what I
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, I mean, truly using the multiple capability concept and being able to really bring the true weight of the American military on a target is very different.
It's amazing. It's amazing what an infantryman has at their disposal. You know what I mean? They can pretty much take over anything if they wanted to. And if they have a great platoon, they could take over anywhere. That's what I truly believe.
It's funny, and just to contrast that with Ramadi 2004, I've said this again. I've said that me and Blake have been talking about doing this thing, although we didn't talk about podcasting. We talk about somebody needs to tell this story for 20 years. And there was, at least for me, and probably for you, based on what you're saying, there was a feeling at the time, no one's coming for you. You're going to solve your own problems. That was it. There was no air coming for you. There was no backup coming for you. There was no secondary Marine battalion coming for you. You're lucky if another Marine platoon came for you, let alone anybody else. So it was you and whoever you could see. It just the contrast between what you're saying, and you had drones, HIMARS, which is an insane capability, uh, artillery fire, air, being able to bring that to bear is such a huge difference to the knockdown, drag out, head to head infantry fight that you had in 2004.
Yeah, in 2004, we were the backup, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
outside of us, that was it.
Yes.
Yeah, so we brought the fight, and I think we did a very good job of doing it.
Yeah.
Did you have any you shared a couple of your more one-off stories and stuff like that. Or do you have was a couple more of the ones that you like to pull out as so there I was. type.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like
A
that.
lot of stories. I remember myself and Mackenzie. We were standing at a corner at night, and all of a sudden we hear like dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. She'll be coming around the mountain.
Yeah, yeah.
Heard
Yeah.
that song in the middle of the night. You know how sound travels at night. And of course, me and Mackenzie's like, what the fuck is that? We take off running, right? It was an IED. And the IED, we were actually standing right on the IED. They were calling the
Oh
cell
shit.
phone to explode the IED.
Oh, it was a Nokia ringtone.
And it was a Nokia ringtone. Dun, 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 dun. I will never forget that day. I was like, what the fuck was that? And me and Mackenzie, we just have these conversations. He's like, sounds like a cell. Pew! And then we take off running in two different directions, right? We call EOD. EOD comes out. They explode it on site. I cannot believe somebody was calling an IED that we were standing on top of. So they saw exactly where we
Yeah,
were.
yeah.
We knew the
Oh yeah.
perfect time to call it. And it was not connected. It did not blow. And I cannot believe that because I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah,
So
That's a good one.
that is one of my like crazy, like there I was stories, right?
yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be vapor in teeth, man. That's awful.
Yeah, we were standing right on it. You know how like you're just like walking around, and back then we didn't scan anything. We're like, all right, we're gonna be right here. I'm looking down this street, you look down that street, you watch my back.
Yeah.
And right in between us, there was an IED underneath a bunch of roads. Yeah.
Did you ever do any door kicks? Were you ever like actually targeted door kicks? I mean, other than, like when you're getting in the firefights, I mean, we all kicked down a couple of doors to chase some dudes down, but were you ever a part of like an element kicking doors?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like what Shane said, our platoon was attached out to do missions all the time, right?
Yeah.
And it was funny. We get cami paint up at night, right? And we always did these like missions at night. And I was usually outer cordon for the most part. But there was one time that the door had to be blown open. And I was an 0351, a demolitionist. So it was my time to shine. But I was never trained in how much C4 to use or det cord to use to calculate the right amount of explosive to use
Yes.
to make entry anywhere, right? So we could have had engineers, and I was begging. I was like, "Come on, this is my job, man. This is what I do." So they allowed me to put a charge on a door, but I put the charge on an interior door, and it was like C4 charged. And then I learned this later on when I went to like breacher's course. But there is a standoff distance that you need to be away from the charge, and they have a blast blanket. Back then, we didn't know, P equals plenty. That was like the formula that I utilized. Right? So I put this charge on this locked door. It was like to the second story. And then we just backed down the steps. I thought I died that day. The explosion was so loud and powerful, and I wasn't at a good standoff distance away from it. None of us were, right? So this was like me breaching a door, and then I think Shelton or Silton was like the number one man, and I was like behind them, right? Door blew, none of us could move. Because the concussion from the blast, we're like this, we're like, ah, we're like screaming, like thinking that like we blew up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then finally, like the tail end guys all rushed past us, and then Rapaz was like, Latham, you ain't doing that shit anymore. Shit, I did it once, man. I'll always have this story to tell.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, we did have a lot of good times like that. Kicking in doors and doing a bunch of raids at night and snatching people up here or there, right?
Yeah, I was with you. I did most of the outer cordon stuff, so I didn't do a lot of door kicks. It sounded like the 81s did a lot of the inner portion because they had a lot more dismounts than we did. At least that's how I felt. And so we ended up doing a ton of the outer cordon stuff, which was just very different. You spent a lot of time at the government center?
Sergeant Major Booker would
Yeah.
always take me with him and Colonel Kennedy into the government center. I was like their security guard for some odd reason, because of course we would escort them out there. They'd be like, Latham, come on, let's go. And every time they went into the government center, I got to go in with them. And the platoon, they would bust my balls after so much because, of course, Sergeant Major and Lieutenant Colonel or battalion commander, they were always like eating good, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like have like a feast. And it was like, go ahead, eat. And so I would just sit there and eat with them, you know what I mean? And then I'd come back out and everybody's just standing there on post, you know what I mean? I have a big smile on my face. I'm smoking a cigarette as I walk out with the sergeant major and the colonel, man. The platoon hated me for that. But you know, it was a good hate. They loved it
Yeah.
at the same.
I wonder why they pay. I mean, big scary black guy, maybe that's why, but you weren't even the biggest or the scariest. So, I mean, you're big and you have an intimidating stare when you want to.
Yeah. I guess in my platoon, I was the largest.
Were you? I mean, again, I don't know, but I feel like Williams was definitely bigger than you were.
Williams?
Yeah.
Well, he was the sergeant. He was like in charge. So
Oh, good point. Yeah. So he wouldn't get pulled. That's right.
He had to do radio and outer cordon
Uh-huh.
stuff, make sure people were on post. Me, I was just like, come on, Latham, let's go. I went every single time. So yes, I was always at the government center. Pretty much anytime Sergeant Major Booker was at the government center, I was there with him.
That's funny.
Mhm.
Man, there was a lot of meetings there, and we were there as well, all the damn time on the roof of that place and outside the gates.
Yeah, yeah. And you guys, you would take them as well, right?
Oh yeah, all the time to the government center and the agricultural center and out to the hospitals, constantly taking them all over the place.
Yeah.
They're going to the police department too, or
Yeah, until they blew it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they did blow up the police department.
Yeah. Brand new police station with all brand new everything, and they blew it up completely.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean that whole deployment. I from the time that we like rolled in, and you remember driving from Kuwait and when we got to Ramadi, everybody was like on the streets like staring at us.
Mhm.
And everybody like I'm looking at all these people's eyes like staring at me. I was terrified. I was like, oh man, are we gonna get shot at now? Like my finger was on the trigger, like I was ready. And then after that, man, you know, I just got my rifle dangling as I'm walking down the street, smoking a cigarette. Like, I'm not gonna die, man. I'm good.
Yeah, you probably came to terms with it.
I did. Yeah, I did. It was like, yes, whatever. I remember Campos. You remember Campos at all?
So
Platoon,
I was
Campos?
trying to remember the name of a Marine who didn't want to go outside the gate. Was that him?
That's the man right
God damn,
there.
we just had this conversation today, and that's funny. I'm glad you brought that up because I could not remember his name for the life of me.
Campo was in my platoon and he didn't want to go out anymore. He was like crying, he was screaming every time, you know what I mean? And I remember I was in the middle of the street and he was like underneath the vehicle. And I was like yelling at him. I wasn't even paying attention to the gunfight.
Yeah.
I was like, look, I'm not getting shot right now. Get out of the vehicle. At least get in. We have to spend manpower watching you. I think they sent him home. They sent him home from that deployment. I think.
No.
I think they didn't.
No, he stayed. And that was so he spent a month not anywhere. He basically stayed in the headquarters hooch and like moved around ammo and cleaned radio. Like he did all kinds of weird shit.
Yeah.
And then eventually he stayed with headquarters. Like but he did go outside the wire again, but months later.
Oh yeah, I remember that day. After that day, he was like we all got out of the vehicle, and then he ran underneath the vehicle, and it was weird. Somebody would just, of course, I was a lance corporal, and someone always tell me something to do. That day, it was like get Campos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was trying to get him out of the vehicle, and I was like, look, I can dance around. I was literally like jumping in the street, like doing jumping jacks. Like, look, I'm not dying. Get up.
In the middle of a gunfight, you're doing jumping jacks.
Nah, they had it covered, man. I wasn't worried about it. My platoon had it covered. They were good at what they do, you know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
worry about it at all. So I'm sitting there doing jumping jacks. I'm dragging him out of the vehicle, out from underneath the vehicle so the vehicle could move forward. Like he
Yeah.
literally got underneath the vehicle. And then after that, that was the last time I saw him.
Yeah, I
I did
do
see
know
it.
they took him out of your platoon. And yeah, that was a hell of a thing.
Yeah, if I did see him, I probably didn't say anything too friendly to him during
Yeah.
that time, obviously. But yeah, I do not remember him going out with us again after that specific day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who did you drive up with from Kuwait to Ramadi?
Drive up with? I think we were all just like loaded in the back of vehicles all over the place. That's all I remember. I think it was our platoon, but I don't know the specifics. I was in the back of the vehicle just hanging out, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? For that long trip.
Were you in the back of a 7-ton or were you in the back of a Humvee?
7 ton.
Oh, okay. All right. I mean, that's where all the line company guys were too. So that's interesting. Did you pick up your vehicles then in Ramadi?
I think so. I think we did get vehicles after we got there.
Yeah. Yeah, because we had the initial working party in Kuwait where we bolted on a bunch of hodgepodge hillbilly fucking armor onto a bunch of vehicles, and those were the ones we used for the security element and drove up with the convoy. And then we went to Junction City, and Gunny Merarkey traded like 15 cases of the best MREs he could find to the Seabees so we could get a plasma cutter and a welder. And he got everybody who knew how to weld, which included me. And we welded together armor on a bunch of other Humvees, and that was our extra Humvees. And then we made the gun mounts. We physically built all of our gun mounts for all of the trucks because there were no gun mounts.
Yeah. I remember you were out there doing that, weren't you?
Yes. Yeah. It was me, Monroe, Savage. I
I
guess
was helping
Stater.
too.
Yeah, you were there. There was like maybe 15 of us total, and it was all day in the fucking hot sun. I think I smoked fucking 3 packs of cigarettes. Like I felt like I was back as a mechanic. Like I was just welding all day and hating life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And somebody brought me like 6 of those shitty non-alcoholic Budweiser near beers. And that was what I was drinking. I was drinking non-alcoholic beer and smoking cools and welding gun mounts together all day, all fucking day.
That was a good time. And during that time, I was probably, I don't know, watching a movie while you were doing all that stuff.
Yeah, well, that's all right. It was worth it.
I'll do that. Send Nylan out there, man. He's my mechanic. I remember he used to take care of my car back in the day too.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, I tried quite a few times to help people out with shit like that when we were back in the barracks.
Yeah, we were all broke. You know, I can't take my car to a mechanic. I got to take it to you.
Yeah. Well, and you had to buy your own gear for deployment, so you certainly couldn't spend money taking it to a mechanic.
Exactly.
Now, so when we did the left seat, right seats at the end of the deployment, which was basically September, like they started like September 9th, but they really took the peak at September 11th and 12th, handing off to 2-5. Did you stay back and do that as well? Or were you already over in Junction City while the rest of us stayed back?
No.
I know you said you don't remember much at the end, but
I do remember. There was an officer whose face got burned off. You remember him?
I do actually. Yeah, that was Captain, I believe. Yeah, Captain Rapicult from 2-5. He came over. That was July though. That was July 14th. He was part of the advanced team to come scope everything out.
Okay.
But yeah, you guys were with them when that happened.
We took him out and we were yelling at him the entire time. Put your window up. Put your window up. And he's like, nah, I don't know. He said some officer or something. He said he was a captain at the time.
He was, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm an officer. You're not going to tell me what to do. And I swear, you shouldn't have wished bad things upon people. But you know what I mean? You give them a warning.
Yeah.
Everybody has already been there. You're like, hey, bud, you need to have that window up. He didn't put his window up. And that IED was like in a gas barrel.
Yep.
Filled with fuel, and it slapped him on the side of the face. And so we're just in the back of the vehicle high-fiving at the time. I do feel bad now, But during that time frame, because it's like, hey, we gave you the warning. That's what you get, man. You know what I mean? You're on your soapbox because you're an officer. You shouldn't do that to people who have been in this experience for this long. You know what I mean? We've been doing it for 3 months. We kind of knew Ramadi by then.
Oh, by the time July hit, you were a fucking seasoned combat vet more than anybody else in the last 30 years by that point.
Yeah. So now I do feel bad, but I remember at that time frame we were cracking up that happened to that gentleman. But
yeah, he ended up getting killed in November with Ryan, where they got killed in the same explosion.
Whew, that's horrible. That is horrible.
And then, so on that same day, later, after you guys evac'd him, now maybe you remember this because it was on Oliver North's show. You guys went out to reinforce the library OP because it got hit with a bunch of explosives. They had set a bunch of explosives down in the base of it. And it never did level it, but they were trying to level it. Mm-hmm. And then you guys got ambushed at Saddam's mosque. And that was all the video of, firing the 50 cal and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I do remember that day. And Colonel Kennedy was out there with us that day, mm-hmm. and Sergeant Major Booker.
Yep.
Colonel Kennedy almost got hit that day from small arms fire. And Sergeant Major's like, put a javelin in that window. So I got to fire a javelin that day right in the window that Colonel Kennedy was getting shot.
Oh, that's awesome.
I remember that day.
What's funny is when we were in Cat Platoon together, I remember you guys training to fire at windows because, and you know this better than I do because I've never fired a javelin, but I remember the training where you could lock it on and it had to have 12 points of lock on. But if you had a window with a frame, it gave you enough of 12 points to actually lock on and fire it in the window.
Yes. And that type of fire, it has to be on direct attack because it will break contact. So yes. You will get, I think it's 10 points of contact, 10 DDTs.
I don't know, man. This is your MOS, not mine.
I forgot about that. That's a long time ago. But you have to have these 10 differences of temperature, right?
Yeah.
10 different temperatures that the missile would track on and mm-hmm. stay locked on of those differences of temperature. So we would fire like right at the window and we'd be able to hit it. So,
did it level the building or what? I mean, what was the fallout from that?
No, it's just a shape charge. So
good. Yeah, so big concussion. Yeah,
concussion that goes in through the window and pretty much evaporates everything that's in there. So
nice. And then you had Ollie North with you as well, filming everything because that ended up on War Stories.
I know, yeah. Oliver North, he rolled with us with this cameraman. I couldn't believe it. And the cameraman, we'd get out of the vehicle. Cameraman get out of the vehicle and he just roll with us. It was cool.
Yeah, for a dude with no weapon, I don't know how much you ever talked to that camera. Did you ever talk to the cameraman at all?
Yeah, absolutely, all the time. He was in the vehicle with us, right? Yeah.
He was super awesome. That guy also smoked like a fucking chimney. But he had been in like, if you named a combat zone in the world of the last like 10 years prior to that, he had been everywhere. He had been on the Gaza Strip. He had been in Africa. He had been everywhere, literally everywhere.
Mm-hmm. With no weapon.
No weapon, with a camera.
Here, just a camera following people. I was like, man, you got some balls, dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that guy.
So looking back now, and I don't know if you read that book Unremitting that came out recently. That was also kind of a thing. No, not interested.
No, not my thing, man. I'm good.
I'm curious why. Why not?
I am doing this for you because of the relationship that we have. Other than that, I mean, Ramadi, I guess I lived that time frame. I'm good. I don't need to keep reflecting on it. But for you, obviously, because of the friendship we have, everything that we've been through together. If anybody else called me, I'd probably be like, nah, I'm good, man.
Well, I appreciate that. Sincerely. Yeah. At least between me and Blake. Mm-hmm. Our conversations and I and a few other people, but I feel like this particular time frame was unique and this particular time frame has a risk of being lost to history. Mm-hmm. You went to the reunion last year, yeah?
I did. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Do you remember General Kennedy's speech at all?
I did a little bit of it. Yeah, I do.
So he reflected on that as well, is that basically no one had written this down, and that it was a pivotal time frame that was unique for multiple reasons. All the things that you've highlighted here: lack of training. Our battalion was our company was far under TO as far as the number of Marines we had.
Mhm.
Our gear was inappropriate. Our tactics were non-existent. We invented them. You invented them. And you took those lessons forward and trained junior Marines with them. And so, at least in that way, you definitely passed on the legacy.
Mhm.
But I have a feeling, especially with weapons company, this vehicular based combat in an urban center like that had not happened prior. And we invented a lot of the things. And these stories have a risk of being lost to time, which is the biggest reason why we're doing this. Also, to honor all of our friends, right? I mean, I think people should know who Joe Latham is, at least in that aspect, right? And I mean, I think people should know who you are nowadays for what you do nowadays as well. But it's as important as any other story of military history. And for it to be lost, and for weapons company to be lost, would be a shame. It would be a loss for just for people that are going to be going through things in the future. And we are going, as a country, going to ask people to go to war in the future. And these stories, at the very least, can highlight that. What was important.
Mhm. I agree with you. All of it is important. However, I'm a very private individual,
Nah, man, I'm the same way.
and I don't need to. Oh, I don't know. It's not that I'm reliving it. It's just like a period in my life. It's a chapter in my life, you know. I've kind of just like outgrown it, you know, and I wasn't getting anything out of combat anymore. You know, there
Mm-hmm.
wasn't that climax at the during the end of the deployment. I was like, oh, this is just easy now. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
warrior, you know what I mean? Like after after you're a warrior and you feel that you're an infantryman, it's like, all right, I've accomplished that. What's next? Like what's next in life, you know?
Yeah.
So it's funny that my children, now that they're older, ask me about Ramadi. And sometimes drunk daddy will hang out in the holidays and they'll be like, so dad, tell me a story about blah, 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 blah. And I'll be like, what do you want to know? Tell me about that award. So I got an award from the time that I was on Northbridge and I
Yeah.
engaged that enemy. So then they'll start asking me follow-up questions. But I'm like, you can ask me this stuff, whatever. I'm an open book. But that isn't the highlight of my life anymore. At that time, it was.
Right.
Now, it's just like in the past, you know.
Right. Yeah. Blake said this one time, and I'm going to use him as an example, even though he's not speaking. And, but when you introduce yourself, and I'm the same way, the first things that come out of my mouth is not combat veteran. It would be 10th, maybe, to describe myself, right? It would not be, that's not going to be the first thing that comes out of my mouth. I'm a father. I'm a husband, a whatever, my profession, other things. I've done a lot of other things since then. So I agree. I personally have found it to where I have not talked about this for 20 years and I mostly can't. And it sounds like that's kind of the same with you because I don't know. Do you feel like, why do you feel like you haven't talked about it much in 20 years?
I just don't feel like I'm gloating. I feel like I'd be gloating, you know, to other people. And like our experience is, I guess, the field that I'm in. And I hear about so many veterans talk about like how much of a badass they are, you know?
Mhm.
And I'm just like, I don't even want to be categorized with you. So if I actually start telling my real story, people might think I'm lying. I'm actually telling the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that would piss me off to no end. So I just rather just keep it to myself. You know, I have these memories. The people that are close to me know that they're true. And that's what matters to me. You know, my
Yeah.
family, my close friends, Julio, you, Blake, all of you guys, you're family to me. I don't need validation from people outside of that,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And that's really not the goal of us recording this. I hope that you would share these recordings with your family, to be quite honest. I think it'd be nice for them to know a little more about you too. And if you don't, that's fine. That's all your personal choice. But I like to imagine that somebody's going to be like, hey, I couldn't talk about it, but here's these recordings, right? Or something.
Yeah. I think it'll be cool for my grandkids to be able to
Right.
like my granddad was really a badass and he laughed about it. That's the most gangster thing in the world right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I do think it's important to keep these traditions going. I feel, like I said previously, that I did it with the way that I trained Marines afterwards.
Yeah.
So that's how my legacy carried on.
That is a good way to honor it, realistically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah. What award did you get for that Northbridge engagement?
What's the lowest award that you can get?
Meritorious Mast, as far as I know. Or are you talking about a medal?
Letter of commendation.
Letter of commendation.
Yeah, I got a letter of commendation, but
I'm sorry, certificate of commendation. It was all called a CIRCOM.
certificate of commendation. Yes, I got one of those, but it sounds badass. It's like Lance Corporal Latham engaged the enemy at night, suppressed all these cool military terms. So I have it hanging up on my wall so that when my daughter's boyfriend comes over, he can see it. I was like, hey, stop right there, read that. And then I'll read it. Well, let's hang out.
That's also another point that nobody would believe looking at any awards or write-ups that anybody did get. I mean, did Condi ever get upgraded from a Bronze Star, or is he still a Bronze Star?
He's still a Bronze Star.
Sure. Right. And in any other in any other world, he should be
even the next year. I mean, like in 2005, they changed the way they were doing awards.
Yeah. Yeah. He should be a Navy Cross. Like he shouldn't get a Medal of Honor because he doesn't meet the criteria, but he should be as close as possible. Again, I'm not a powerful person, and none of the three of us sitting here are. And I wish that well, maybe. And if I ever do, that'll be first on my agenda.
First thing we do, right? When we run for presidency.
Yeah.
We talked about this for 20 years now. When are we going to do it, Doc?
If any of the three of us are going to be president, it's going to be Blake, because he looks the part and he doesn't have the legal history that you and I do. So he
could just appoint us to like high level.
Right. Positions. Right. That's right. We could be good cabinet positions.
All right, Blake, do your thing, Doc.
Yeah. But just what you're talking about, your CIRCOM in any other aspect would have been a Bronze Star. Like that, there's no reason that shouldn't be a Bronze Star with a V. Easily, or a Navy Com with a V. I mean, if you're going to really degrade it, but that's bullshit. That if you were in the Army, you would have gotten a Bronze Star with a V. Right.
Yeah. And so, I've read awards afterwards, and I'm like, wow, I did more when I was a Lance Corporal.
Exactly.
Than you did of this award that I am reading right now. It's just is what it is. But I don't, like I said, the validation, I don't need it externally. I get it from people like you reaching out to me 20 years later. That friendship that's lasted this long is important to me than any type of award that I can get or that the Marine Corps could give me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely get that. That one of, and just to kind of continue a little bit what Shane was saying there, but one of the things that I've brought up to Shane several times is, and I think I did even now too, that it was such a unique 2001 to 2005 was an incredibly unique time frame for the military in general, the Marine Corps more specifically, and then if you take just 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines during that time period, it is absolutely wild what we experienced. And that, I mean, if you talk about the fact that we were issued some of the first Molly gear that was out there, but it was an absolute failure and it broke on us and it cut a bunch of people because they didn't put it under load. We can go on and on about how we helped shape. I mean, the fact that they brought people out from the Marine Corps Warfighting Lab to interview us, to ask us what we were doing so they could create the pubs back there to get the training going for the next round of people. We established a lot of this, and not that it needs to, like, I don't need Blake, Corporal Mustard did this or whatever. But it's more that I remember we were talking to, do you remember Sergeant Garcia, Flex from 81s? Yeah.
Yeah.
We were talking to him, and I forgot that he had done this, but he had gotten a bunch of like reading material that he brought over to Iraq that was on small maneuver warfare. He had a bunch of like guerrilla stuff. And he and I were just going over it, just trying to glean out as much as we could. And I remember I reflected on this after the conversation, but I remember specifically thinking, this is absolutely wild because this is well into this is June, probably midway through our deployment, that remembering how the Marines had to deal with the Philippines during the Spanish-American War, that the small maneuver warfare that was happening then and the lessons that they learned, they created this amazing pub of how to do guerrilla warfare, like how to do counterinsurgency. Mm-hmm. And we were reading through it and being like, well, this is we're literally going through the process of relearning it ourselves and not using the material that was there beforehand. And we're bleeding out on the streets, literally, because we don't know how to capture this information and bring it forward. And I'm glad that you were able to stay in and do so. As time goes on, I never wanted to write it down because, as you said, I never wanted to like the self. I'm not cool enough to write my story. I don't need any of that. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to find a way to capture it. And I appreciate you taking the time to help capture your pieces to that. And as time goes on and we interview these other guys, and then they'll listen to yours, hopefully it'll jog a memory that they'll be able to throw in and remind themselves that they had a black troll doll that they carried around in their pocket that maybe they forgot about. Because you reminded me.
Abu Samra. That's my guy. Yeah.
I love it.
And to your point, I actually, after I stayed in, I got to see the transition of tactics change. So you know how like we were flying in vehicles, just rolling as fast as we could, so we didn't hit an IED. They changed the tactic. We started driving slow, so we were able to actually observe and scan our environment. And then the IED hits went down. Of course, vehicles got upgraded, but we were able to identify it more. So tactics changed over time after like what we went through, the after action reports, the debriefs. It caused change for the future Marine Corps.
That's crazy, man.
I don't know if you're still tracking what they're doing now, but man, what the Marine Corps is doing with 2030, Vision 2030 or whatever it's called, got some wild stuff going on there.
I am not tracking the Marine Corps anymore. I go to Camp Pendleton, get my Marine Corps flag after it gets faded. I go get a new one, hang outside my house, and that's pretty much it. And on Memorial Day, I'll go hike up First Sergeant's Hill, but I'm not tracking on the Marine Corps and what they're doing. I know the Marines, they got it. They've always had it. They'll continue to have it. They don't need anything from me, and I don't want to. I don't know. I guess I don't. I stay disconnected from it, from what's going on.
100%.
I mean, being forward facing is the way to go. Cool, man. Well, this has been 2 hours. Thanks for sharing. Realistically.
Yeah. Absolutely, brother. We've always been family. If you ever need anything from me here in Cali, now when I go to Arizona, I think I posted a picture. I was in Arizona. You're like, why didn't you hit me up?
Yeah.
I didn't know you were here. Next time I'm in Arizona, I'm going to hit you up. We got to stay connected with each other. We've been through a lot together, and we'll be friends for life, all of us.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. If you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe for future episodes on your favorite podcast service.